accusing me of being a smooth talker.
That's good.
I'm hoping Megha would edit out these parts.
No, Megha.
Hi guys. Today we're with Mridula and Ram for a very special feature in our magazine, which I'll soon explain to you. So I'm Megha, and this is part of what we're doing for the magazine called Chalk Out. Chalk Out is basically a magazine that came from a bunch of students in the Bachelor's of Education program at Alim Premji University, where we felt that there was a need for more conversations around education and in specific around the larger questions of education. And with that aim, we've kind of started this magazine, put things together, and the topic for the second issue of this magazine is care in the times of the corona. So as this is being filmed, we're in Jan 8th of 2021. However, the pandemic is still not over and it's been around for a year. And we thought it would be very interesting to kind of explore care in the times of corona from different aspects and different perspectives on it could be self-care, it could be how schools are caring, how families are caring for their students, and so on. So over to Mridula, who will be working with Ram, and off you go.
Hi, Ram. So, I'll be giving you a few questions and we can develop on a conversation about care during these times. So, could you start off by introducing yourself a little bit as being part of the education field?
Thank you. Thanks, Mridula. Thanks, Megha, for the introduction. Okay, my name is Ram, short for Ramchandar Krishnamurthy. I've been a teacher for perhaps last, let's say 2006, means what, 14 years now. I think equally split between school context and undergraduate university context. Actually, I've also taught adults in between the school and the university. So I think I've not taught very young children, perhaps from the age group of 10 to age group of 50. I've been a teacher in the last 15 years. My journey into education came from actually quite a different pathway. I was a software engineer before moving into education. I liked programming. I continue to love write computer programs. But I also, I'm not saying that I'm trying to program young people now. But I thought education has always fascinated me, and it's perhaps also something to do with my upbringing, which I came to realize later that both my mother and grandfather were teachers. So, in spite of my best efforts, I have landed up back in being a teacher, and I like that part. Yeah. So, hopefully, that gives you some, at least from an experience point of view, where I've taught. I've basically taught in a government school in South Bangalore for a couple of years as a volunteer teacher. Then I went and taught in a rural school in Tamil Nadu in a district called Dharmapuri for another 2 years. I taught the middle school grades, the 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade there. And then before joining the university, I was teaching adults who were basically rural entrepreneurs. These were people like fishermen and shopkeepers who were the rural parts of India, and a set of us were teaching how to manage their businesses better. So, in fact, I was teaching them business mathematics on how mathematics will help them do their business better. So that those were adults actually, for 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. Some of them have not been to school before, and it was done in Indian languages, and bilingually. So one of us would speak in English, another person would speak in Telugu, Malayalam, or Hindi. So it was an interesting experience. And then I joined the university. In the last 5-6 years, I have been teaching in the undergraduate program and recently in the teacher education program.
Thanks, Ram. Actually, I didn't know so much about everything that you said. So now that we've gotten an idea of how much experience you have in this, Could you tell, like, from a teacher's perspective, what exactly is care for, um, like, not only students, but as a spectrum as a whole, towards society, towards the schooling?
Yeah. Actually, it's quite interesting. My idea of what is care has changed quite dramatically, I think, over time. I think since the time I always thought I was someone who cared about other things. Okay. Um,
Mm,
um, so I cared about, I think the whole, my journey into education itself came because of my care about the environment per se. I
mm,
always seem to have had a natural interest in the biological life around me. I was curious about the birds and the squirrels and things in my backyard. And that's why my journey of, I thought, was caring about
mm,
uh, started. But over time, my idea of care has quite significantly changed. Uh, Um, I would say that. Okay, let me organize my thoughts a little bit here. While I did care about the environment, the care about the environment changed fairly soon to caring about human beings too, because I
mm,
think both the result and the cause of an environmental destruction are from human beings to some extent, and they are also the people who suffer from environmental destruction. So I started looking at human beings from that point of view and started thinking that I'm caring about human beings. And that's
mm,
one of the reasons which motivated me to come into education, right? And also in other civil society organizations, what we'll broadly call those people who are working for a social change. Let me put it that way,
mm,
right? But I think I did that kind of work for almost 10 years, along with the school and outside of the school also.
mm,
And I realized that there is something missing in that kind of an approach of caring, uh,
mm,
in terms of caring about in that sense. It's
mm,
almost like as if it's a one way transaction that I'm caring about the environment, I'm caring about the human being, right?
mm,
And
yeah.
not just me, but the people like me who were like supposedly working in social change. Um,
Mm,
and I saw a lot of actual, I would say, put it bluntly, failures in that approach. Um, and I think experientially I came to realize that that is because I think the notion of a relationship is missing there. That it was a more, I would say, an intellectual or a ethical notion, a rational reasoning notion of I'm caring about the environment, I'm caring about people, but it was not linked in a relationship or a emotional engagement with the people or the ideas. And I felt that that was one of the reasons that kind of caring about uh, uh,
mm,
fails. And interestingly, when I was thinking about these things, but I didn't have any specific um, proposals for about this failure and what to do about it. And that's when I think some 5 6 years back, I came across this notion of care ethics. Um,
mm,
I was teaching various ethical philosophies, and I realized that all of the ethical philosophies seem to have a certain limitation. And then I was searching for it, and then I came across this idea of care ethics, and it seems to have perfectly fit into my experience of the failure of how I used to think I was caring about.
mm,
Nell Noddings, one of the important authors of this care ethics, actually talks about the difference between caring about and caring for.
yeah.
And I found that quite interesting. And she says that caring about, in a way, looks like, um, setting myself apart from whom I'm caring for.
Mm,
And in a way, the notion of care ethics is a very relational notion. It's not a
mm,
one-dimensional notion. So that I think immediately struck a chord in me based on my experiences. And I feel that it has not just important implications in education, but anyone who's interested in engaging with social change itself, I think it's very important. Because
mm,
I firmly now believe social change happens through change in the nature of relationships.
yeah.
how do we relate to other human beings, how do we relate to our environments, and it's a relational idea. You
Yeah.
also need to understand what is the environment doing to you, what is nature doing to me, why do I feel so, let's say, energetic when I'm on top of a mountain or when I'm in a forest. What is that doing to me? It is also having an effect on me. It's not only me who's having an effect on that. And in
Mm.
human beings, it becomes particularly more uh, acute and aware that, it's a relationship you have with another human being. You're not just directing them or changing them from the
Yeah.
outside,
Yeah.
right? We are not like clay to be molded. No,
Mm.
oftentimes they use, even in education, they use the idea that as if young people are, you have to mold young people
Yeah.
as if they are clay, right?
Yeah.
To be molded. But even clay reacts and responds to you. Even clay is not very passive. But
Mm.
human beings are much more active agents. So the notion is not molding them, but having a relationship with them. And I
Mm.
find that very, very meaningful in uh, education and in social change. I think I've rambled quite a bit. You want to ask some follow-up questions on this? You
No,
can.
no, no. I think you. I was about to ask you what like the difference between care about and care for, but I think you've given good anecdotes to understand what exactly is. But um, based on everything that you're saying, how do you think the care that we show has changed during these times in the last 1 year? Because we don't have, you know, the physical what do I say? The closeness the distance has increased. There's not much closeness. You can only do work from far apart, even if you can try. How has it changed now in these times?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. Maybe let me talk personally first about my own personal life and then look at as a professional in education what it means. Okay.
Hmm.
I feel little almost ashamed to say that this kind of, with so many people suffering so much because of livelihoods and actual health deteriorations and even death, um, but being at home has been a really good experience for me. Okay. We are a very small family. It's just me, my wife, and her mother at home. And even though both Madhvi and me have been together for more than 25 years, um, this has been the first time we have spent so much time together. Okay.
Hmm.
And we realize that how comforting it is for each other. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, so it's not that we have not had understanding before. I don't want to paint it as something not right. We thought we had good understanding of each other, and then you realize there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
So much more to the rhythm, so much more in sharing the same environment, more sharing ideas, sharing
Hmm.
emotions, sharing the physical space. There is so much more in that sharing, and it is, and I'm really, and that's what I'm a little ashamed to say. I'm really thankful for this opportunity to have spent so much time with her, right? And she
Hmm.
also says that sometimes we wonder how we are going to readjust to a supposedly normal environment where actually we are busy with other things and or ideas and what we want to achieve in our lives and things like that, where we don't have this moment to moment attention to the
Yeah.
other, right? Um, so in a way, that has been very revealing and wonderful experience for me. That this kind of attention, in a way, in care ethics, they call it a certain kind of engrossment with the other. That has actually happened, but it's in a family situation for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I agree with you in the sense that online, particularly older people like me, find it harder how to establish and maintain and improve upon relationships
Hmm.
online. We are very much the previous generation folks, so yeah, I do think it is hard. But even in my last online class, when I talk to my students, I talk to them that these are good opportunities for you to engage with the very old relationships that we have. I'm not saying it's easy because oftentimes we have a past, and the past comes with a certain kind of baggage with your relationships, and especially with your parents or siblings. There is always a past and the baggage, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. I had encouraged my students to see that, rather than, not just rather than, along with trying to have caring relationships online, how you are now constrained in your physical movements, you are now constrained in terms of going out. You have to spend a lot of time with other human beings whom who also supposedly care about you,
Yeah.
and you are also supposed to care for them. Now, is this an opportunity to explore what does relating genuinely mean? So that I had been encouraging my students with some partial success. Uh, it's also it's also true that these particular set of students I have not met them much before this. I'm engaging with them. So even in my some of my assignments, I gave them option of actually making it as a dialogue with their parents about education, and what do they think about the nature and purpose of education, and how do you convert the dialogue into a project work for the course. I think only around 6, 7 of them opted for that option out of the 50 students. So you can see that there is, I would say that that was something revealing to me to show that for a lot of young people, the relationships at home is not, I would say, based on care, to put it. And that's a little bit worrying, and I'm hoping we realize that, and if we as students and teachers value that, we take the first step of reaching out, having a dialogue, not waiting for why are they not caring, but we take the first step and see what happens at home, because after all, those are important relationships for them. Right? That is one at the personal family level. Now, what does it mean to care when you're doing an online course? That's for someone like me, it's particularly difficult because I was one of the people who were vehemently argued that the undergraduate program should be a residential program, so that all students are there together, and hopefully quite a lot of faculty are also there in the same environment, so that we have enough time for forming relationships. Because, like anything else, if you consider relating as important, it's a matter of physics. You need to have the same space and time, right? So, without that opportunity for space and time, or giving that opportunity for space and time, you can't say, try to explore forming relationships. It's not going to happen. So that's one of the reasons we had a residential program. I even thought a simple day scholar program would not enable us in exploring the ideas of care. For someone like me, then it's even more harder to imagine how caring can come through an online format. But I think at least for the students who didn't join new to the environment, I'm hoping that to some extent they did see overall in the college's approach to teaching, the college's approach to engaging with students. Overall, hope they did get a sense. That's the sense I'm getting also when we talk. I talk to quite a lot of students that they are missing that kind of an engagement being at home. And so to put it um, simply, ca- expecting a kind of caring, which is means establishing and maintaining relationships online with persons whom I don't know only through the medium of classrooms, I find it quite difficult. And I would rather adapt to the situation and say I will use my energies here to form or remedy or rescue the relationships I need to rescue in my physical environment around me, rather than trying it through a virtual environment. Let me not escape my present and now and engage with it. And And in a way, we should expect school environments or university environments like us to support students through that process.
Hmm.
That's what I would say. That we
Yeah.
support you in your caring of people around you, not across in terms of virtual environments. I think it's very difficult. But you can tell me because young people respond to technology very different from older
Um,
folks. Yeah.
I do agree, like your point. The thing is that I was about to say this earlier. Like as a student, um, if I weren't, if I didn't have this break, I probably wouldn't understand or care for my family as much as I do now. Because um, to a certain extent, it was almost like living by yourself when you once you come to hostel. You're slowly going into your independent part of your life. But then suddenly when we were sent home, there was this initial period of time where there was tension. There was like, let me do what I want. And then the parents are like, no, you're at home. And then once college starts, trying to mold your life between trying to separate it between college, how you would interact with them and how you would be with your home. And there was a time period when, at least personally, I didn't spend any time with family. I would be like, I have to go. I have to go sit in this room here and just work. Or, if I have a break, I don't want to talk to you. I just want to, relax for a while. But then, because of this time also, I realized how to live together, which before I was just a kid to my parents, but now it's like another adult at home with them. So definitely, like, even I am ashamed, as you said, but it has definitely helped me to learn a lot about myself as well as live together with my family, which I wouldn't have gotten a chance if life was just normal. I would have somehow spent the 4 years and just left somewhere for future. And I mean, both of them have their own positives and negatives, which I think all of us do realize to some extent.
Yeah, yeah. No, not to say that there are certain situations. It's true, Mridula, that when I've spoken to quite a lot of students, the first 2 months was turbulent. Actually, the first initial months were actually some of them were very, very anxious just to get back home and living. Some of them had had difficult relationships when they grew up with their parents, and it was a big relief for them to come to the hostel environment. And now I had to be stuck with them again. There was quite a lot of anxiety, I've also heard. And
Mm,
very interestingly, for a significant number, I'm not saying everyone, that's not true. Um, Significant number of people, it has turned around in a positive way. And I'm happy to hear that. And we also have to be conscious of the fact that sometimes relationships are so fraught and so difficult. We should not be blinded by that too. So for those young people who are somehow, uh, you know, mm, constrained and by the circumstances and being forced to be at home, which is not conducive to them, is also a little sad situation there. And hopefully, they do reach out in the virtual world. But I'm also curious to try to understand from you what has been your experience in terms of relating in a virtual world. Yeah.
very personally,
Yeah.
it's very difficult. Um, it's definitely a space where you can get out. Like, your friends are there on the other side and you can contact them. But it's also very difficult and very draining because if you're naturally present with somebody else, I don't know, your body language, your aura is something which will help you ease the situations at tension a little bit. But when you're online, you have to be lot more expressive and than you normally are. So and it's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's very tiring. Like, I don't know what drains you so much when you, because in college, if you're there, I would be busy from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. I wouldn't be as tired as I would feel if I'm even busy from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. here now. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just too tiring.
Yeah, so no, it's very, very true. It's very true and very similar experiences and same perplexities. Why it is so tiring? Why is it appears tedious? While the same kind of experience when you have face to face in a common physically shared space seems much more easy. And
Yeah.
as and I ask why I don't have clear answers. Why do I find it so fatiguing and tiring? Um, but there are some positives. I'm just recollecting that. The group of our teacher educators met last week because before, in between the two semesters, everyone had some free time. So not free time in the sense, yeah, we had some time. So we said we'll have 3 days of meetings to work together. And in a way, it was interesting that some of us felt we have not met each other for 9 months or so,
Mm.
right? Because we had these constant online meetings and things like that, we did feel, hey, didn't fully feel as if we were have not met each other for 9 years, 9 months. That is
Yeah.
also true. In a way, let's just imagine, no, if the same kind of isolation had happened without technology, this technology, it would have been even more different. In a way, there are some positives to it also. I'm not saying we can't keep complaining that a virtual thing is, not good and things like that, because we did feel that honestly that, oh yeah, that's true. It didn't feel like we have not seen each other for 9 months.
Yeah.
uh, because you have been on video calls together, and in that sense you have been in communication. But you are absolutely right, it seems fatiguing and I don't know why. um, so
Definitely.
maybe,
It looks like the online, we know that we will not let go of what we have now. What I mean is that there's no normal life, it's just an enhanced version of normal life with the online. Like,
yeah.
it's now going to go back to how it was, because definitely people are seeing the positives of online mode of life, and they'll just incorporate the better parts of it into our previous normal life.
I'm smiling broadly because you're absolutely right. Because even for the B.Ed program, that's what I'm thinking. It increases actually quite a lot of possibility, not in terms of online classes.
Yeah,
How
yeah,
do we be in touch with, you are aware that the next semester, hopefully if everything goes well, that you're going to be in different schools across the country, right?
yeah.
Now, how do you use this online format to keep us all together separately, like as we Indians say, right? So, um, so we are all in different places in the country, but then how can we come together periodically so that
Mm.
we have a shared experience also immediately? So I think this actually creates a possibility, and I'm excited by that possibility, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And going back to, I think, relating virtually, and what does it mean then? Because relationships are at the center or core of care.
Mm.
It is important when we say that care in the times of corona or care in the times of isolation. One, hopefully we are not isolated individually. We are isolated with a group of people or neighbors. Oh, that I should tell you that even our relationships with our neighbors improved. We have been living here for more than 15 years. Now there is so much more of sharing of food and what they cook because we don't eat outside often. There's a variety. The Bengalis, we live in a large apartment complex, so there are people cooking various things and sharing with each other. Those have also been an interesting response to the situation. And that's, in a way, I also feel little positive that um, human beings are supremely adaptable,
Yeah.
right? So, at least those of us who are privileged with certain basics which are taken care of, we are able to adapt to a situation like this in different ways. But yes, as educational experience, I still feel um, this is severely limiting, especially from the notion of care. And I'm not gung ho about all this online and how online parts is going to change education forever. Especially for someone like me, I feel the core of education is about caring and caring for and building the capacities to care. I particularly don't see easy avenues through online mechanisms to do that. We can perhaps definitely deal with knowledge. Um,
Yeah.
yes, achievement of knowledge perhaps can happen online, but that's only a part of education, I would say, in that sense. So, yeah, but care per se in online formats in educational settings, I don't know, unless we figure out, even the notion of what does it mean to have a dialogue online.
Mhm. Yeah.
So even those are the questions that we need to think about. And I'm completely wildly guessing. I'm nowhere near any biology person, but I think biology people can see whether the mirror neurons fire in the same way when we see an image on a screen versus a physical image. Right? I think this is a clear scientific question. Perhaps our tiredness comes from that fact that it takes more energy for our mirror neurons to actually fire to relate, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all communication requires relating. So maybe that's why we feel tired. I don't know. It's a good question for any biology person.
Anybody who will watch this conversation, a bio student can take this up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Want to move on to some other areas of questions? Yeah.
No, this was like generally, actually, there were some questions that we have covered them. So I'm really glad that the conversation went smoothly to be able to cover all of them.
Okay. You're
Yeah.
saying you're accusing me of being a smooth talker.
That's good. It's a
I'm hoping Megha would edit out these parts.
no, Megha. With the transcription and the headline as mislead.
Smooth talk by Ram. Okay.